Cancer has long been considered a disease of the genes, with treatments primarily focused on destroying cancerous cells. Traditional therapies like chemotherapy and radiation aim to target and kill these rapidly dividing cells, often causing significant side effects due to their impact on healthy cells as well. However, a revolutionary perspective is emerging, challenging this long-held belief. This new viewpoint suggests that our understanding of cancer might be incomplete, and that we need to look beyond genetic mutations to fully grasp the nature of this disease. Dr. Thomas Seyfried, a renowned cancer researcher, presents a compelling argument in his book, Cancer as a Metabolic Disease. His work has sparked significant interest and debate within the scientific community, pushing researchers to reconsider the foundational principles of cancer biology. He proposes that cancer is fundamentally a metabolic disorder, meaning it originates from abnormalities in the way cells produce and utilize energy. This theory shifts the focus from genetic mutations to the metabolic processes that sustain cell growth and survival. Dr. Seyfried's theory has profound implications for how we understand, prevent, and treat cancer. If cancer is indeed a metabolic disease, then targeting the metabolic pathways that are disrupted in cancer cells could offer new therapeutic strategies. It suggests that instead of solely targeting genetic mutations, we should focus on restoring proper metabolic function within cells. This approach could potentially lead to treatments that are more effective and have fewer side effects compared to conventional therapies. This paradigm shift could pave the way for more effective and less toxic cancer therapies. By addressing the metabolic dysfunction at the heart of cancer, we might be able to develop treatments that not only target cancer cells more precisely, but also spare healthy cells, reducing the overall burden on patients. The traditional view of cancer focuses on uncontrolled cell growth caused by genetic mutations. This perspective has driven much of the research and treatment development over the past few decades. While this is undoubtedly a part of the picture, Dr. Seyfried argues that it doesn't tell the whole story. He believes that the genetic mutations observed in cancer cells are a consequence rather than the cause of the disease. He posits that these genetic mutations are secondary to a primary defect in cellular energy metabolism. This defect disrupts the normal function of mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell, leading to the uncontrolled growth characteristic of cancer. This metabolic dysfunction, he argues, is the root cause of cancer. By understanding and targeting these metabolic abnormalities, we may be able to develop more effective treatments that address the underlying issues driving cancer progression. Dr. Seyfried's work challenges us to rethink our understanding of this complex disease. It opens up new avenues for research and encourages scientists to explore the metabolic aspects of cancer more deeply. It encourages us to explore new avenues for treatment and prevention, focusing on the metabolic processes that fuel cancer growth. By shifting our perspective, we may unlock new possibilities for combating this devastating disease and improving patient outcomes. To understand the metabolic theory of cancer, we need to delve into the intricate world of cellular energy production. This journey takes us deep into the microscopic realm where the fundamental processes of life occur. Cells, the building blocks of our bodies, require a constant supply of energy to function correctly. Every action, from muscle contraction to brain activity, depends on this energy. This energy is primarily generated in tiny powerhouses within our cells called mitochondria. These organelles are often referred to as the cell's batteries or power plants because of their crucial role in energy production. They are responsible for converting nutrients from the food we eat into a usable form of energy called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. ATP acts as the main energy currency in the cell, fueling various biochemical reactions. In cancer cells, however, these mitochondrial powerhouses are often dysfunctional. This dysfunction disrupts the normal energy production process, leading to a significant energy crisis within the cell. They are unable to efficiently generate energy through the normal pathway, which relies on oxygen. This pathway, known as oxidative phosphorylation, is highly efficient and produces the majority of the cell's ATP. This metabolic defect forces cancer cells to rely on a less efficient process called fermentation, even in the presence of oxygen. Fermentation is an ancient metabolic pathway that generates far less ATP compared to oxidative phosphorylation. This phenomenon, known as the Warburg effect, is a hallmark of cancer. It was first observed by Otto Warburg in the 1920s, who noted that cancer cells prefer fermentation over oxidative phosphorylation, even when oxygen is plentiful. Imagine a city experiencing a blackout. The primary power grid, which supplies efficient and reliable energy, is suddenly unavailable. With the primary power grid down, buildings must rely on less efficient backup generators. These generators can keep essential systems running, but they are not as effective as the main power source. Similarly, cancer cells with impaired mitochondria are forced to rely on the inefficient fermentation pathway to meet their energy demands. This shift in energy production is not just a minor inconvenience. It has profound implications for the cell's behavior and survival. This metabolic shift not only provides less energy, but also produces byproducts that promote tumor growth and survival. These byproducts can create an environment that supports cancer cell proliferation and protects them from the body's immune response. The metabolic theory of cancer highlights this fundamental energy crisis within cancer cells. It suggests that the root cause of cancer lies in the cell's inability to produce energy efficiently, leading to a cascade of changes that drive the disease. It provides a framework for understanding how this metabolic dysfunction drives the uncontrolled growth and proliferation characteristic of the disease. By targeting the unique metabolic needs of cancer cells, researchers hope to develop new treatments that can effectively combat this devastating illness. The Warburg effect, named after its discoverer Otto Warburg, is central to the metabolic theory of cancer. It describes the peculiar behavior of cancer cells, which prefer to ferment glucose for energy even when ample oxygen is available. This is in stark contrast to healthy cells, which primarily rely on the more efficient process of aerobic respiration in the presence of oxygen. This metabolic quirk of cancer cells provides them with a significant advantage in the competitive environment of a tumor. By fermenting glucose, cancer cells generate lactic acid as a byproduct. This lactic acid acidifies the surrounding environment, making it toxic to healthy cells and creating a favorable niche for tumor growth. Furthermore, the Warburg effect allows cancer cells to thrive in environments with low oxygen levels, a common feature of many tumors. By relying on fermentation, they become less dependent on oxygen supply, enabling them to survive and proliferate even in oxygen-deprived conditions. The Warburg effect is not merely a side effect of cancer, it's a fundamental driver of the disease. This metabolic adaptation provides cancer cells with a survival advantage, fueling their uncontrolled growth and spread. Understanding the intricacies of the Warburg effect is crucial for developing effective metabolic therapies, targeting this specific vulnerability in cancer cells. The metabolic theory of cancer is not just a compelling idea, it's backed by a growing body of scientific evidence. This theory suggests that cancer is primarily a metabolic disease rather than a genetic one, which has profound implications for how we understand and treat this complex condition. Numerous studies have demonstrated the link between metabolic dysfunction and cancer development. Researchers have observed that cancer cells exhibit altered metabolism, often referred to as the Warburg effect, where they rely heavily on glycolysis for energy production even in the presence of oxygen. For instance, researchers have created cancer-like tumors in animals simply by manipulating the metabolic environment of cells, even in the absence of genetic mutations. This suggests that metabolic changes alone can drive the transformation of normal cells into cancerous ones. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from the effectiveness of metabolic therapies, like the ketogenic diet, in managing certain cancers. The ketogenic diet, which is high in fats and low in carbohydrates, alters the body's metabolism by forcing it to burn fat for fuel instead of glucose. This high-fat, low-carbohydrate diet forces the body to burn fat for fuel instead of glucose, essentially starving cancer cells that rely heavily on glucose fermentation. By depriving cancer cells of their preferred energy source, the ketogenic diet can slow down their growth and proliferation. Studies have shown promising results with the ketogenic diet in patients with various cancers, including brain tumors, prostate cancer, and even some advanced stage cancers. Patients have reported improved quality of life and, in some cases, significant tumor shrinkage. Moreover, studies on calorie restriction, another metabolic intervention, have shown its potential in slowing down cancer growth and improving the effectiveness of conventional treatments. Calorie restriction involves reducing overall caloric intake without malnutrition, which can lead to a decrease in glucose availability for cancer cells. Calorie restriction, by reducing the availability of glucose, can push cancer cells towards a more oxidative state, making them more vulnerable to therapies like chemotherapy and radiation. This metabolic stress can enhance the effectiveness of these treatments, leading to better outcomes for patients. These findings, along with numerous other studies, provide substantial support for the metabolic theory of cancer. The growing body of evidence suggests that targeting the metabolic pathways of cancer cells could be a promising strategy for cancer treatment. They highlight the undeniable link between cellular metabolism and cancer development and underscore the potential of metabolic therapies in managing the disease. As research continues to evolve, the metabolic theory of cancer may pave the way for new, more effective treatment options that go beyond traditional approaches.